things in Wells County?
Pretty good, how you guys doing?
Good. Finally got a little bit of moisture at least.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get, you guys running in rain?
Not yet, no. I think this afternoon we're supposed to
Yeah.
get a quarter and a half.
Kinda looks
maybe.
like we're on the very edge of anything this afternoon.
Yeah. That's on you.
Well, it was. Now it's three.
Three, it must be three. They don't just make an input button anymore. There, we're on it.
Hey. Just like a cursor. Okay.
Alright.
Yeah. Right.
Don't let me leave all of Well, the wind in there frozen will be good for a little while.
Alright, we're live.
Alright.
That'll work out.
That's the hardest part of the presentation, right?
Seems to be.
When you got tech problems, I was gonna have to move that.
No, not me.
You're our guy, alright. That's good. Well, you guys ready?
You ready for us?
Go.
Okay. I'm probably a new face for you guys. Matt Lang with KLJ. I guess I've been doing this for 20 years now. All my history is in county engineering. Grew up in Devil's Lake working with Ramsey County as a college kid, and then down to Valley City and working with Lawrence County and those counties around there. So mom was born in Harvey, so I spent quite a bit of time in Wells County, so very familiar with the area. But wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity to be here today. It's something that both Brian and I spent our entire career doing is county engineering. It's something that we love to do. It's what KLJ was built on. Today we're here to talk about Project VRC 5219-053. It's a mouthful, but essentially it's just a single span bridge replacement project. It's on a CMC route, so you guys will have a 20% local share. So some of the things we'll talk about today is efficiencies and some of the things that we can do to help keep costs down. So you know, cost of infrastructure just keeps going up, and smaller counties don't have the, you're not Cass County, right? You don't have the budgets they have to work with. So with that, obviously you guys know Brian. Brian was the PM on this project on the design side, and he will remain the PM during construction. Brian, is coordinated with all of the designers during the design, and he will play that same role for us during construction. He'll be that same point of contact for you guys. He's going to basically be that consistency. Obviously, we did the design, and there's a lot of advantages in doing the design going to construction, especially if things change in the field, right? We do borings, we do a lot of analysis, but when the contractor's out there and they start digging, things can change. So having somebody that's been instrumental during design, and then having his ability to work with those designers, if there are some nuances that come up, he's going to play a major factor in that. And then just to talk a little bit about the team here, we'll be staffing from our Valley City location. Alex was the engineer of record on the bridge components, and then Randy comes from the Valley City District. He's got over 40 years of experience building bridges. So there's just not a better person as far as our QC/QA plan to have involved. And then Brandon and Mark and Karen will handle the day-to-day on-site with IBI. So again, as we're talking, if you guys have questions, don't feel like you can't ask during to interrupt us. That's perfectly fine. I added this slide just because we want to talk about our county services. KLJ was built on county engineering. It's what we do. It's who we are. You know, we work across the state. We work for, you know, roughly half the counties in the state. And then I do like to point just in eastern North Dakota, some of those counties have 300 to 400 bridges in their counties. And, you know, we've already this year, we've done 2 bridges with IBI and 2 bridges are starting with swinging. And I mean, we're you know, what, in May? It's building bridges is really what we do and, you know, what we specialize in. But again, with the amount of work we do across the state, it provides us with some unique opportunities. You know, we are with local government, we meet with them, the agencies, we're working with them all the time. We have, you know, a dedicated county engineering team at KLJ. That's all we do is counties, from getting, you know, flex funds to grants. It doesn't matter if it's roads, bridges. That's just what our team does. So then kind of with that, rolling into just some of the opportunities, because of the amount of work we do, is we meet with the DOT's local government division. They're the ones that control the purse strings on projects like this and make decisions on how they're going to fund these projects. And there's been quite a bit of changeover in local government. And Fed Highway is constantly changing their rules and processes. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but now on these bridges, we have to do what's called a load rating report. I know this bridge was posted, right? That's kind of one of the main reasons why we're here today. And there's new processes in how they evaluate these bridges. And essentially, you know, I think with this one, there was just maybe one beam run that was short. They didn't have enough beam lines with the new equipment and everything else. So then they get posted. And so, you know, we understand the reporting. We did the design. We've already done the load rating on on the proposed design. There's scour analysis requirements. This is brand new. I think you guys probably see emails from the DOT on your scour analysis requirements and bridges that have to be inspected during flood events, right? These are brand new requirements. When we meet with the DOT, we talk through these requirements. They ask for input. You know, we feel like we have a very good partnership with them and a teaming arrangement when it comes to understanding their systems, their processes. You know, these projects are going to be managed through cars. And Brian will talk a little bit about just the administration side of the project, but essentially, you know, Federal Highway, NDDOT, that's where we get money to build these projects. That's who we work with every day. And because of that, you know, we know what their expectations are. Minimizing rework creates some significant efficiencies for us during construction, during design. You know, so it just makes our operation run very efficiently.
You talked about a beam being a problem in this bridge that's out there now. Have you guys ever went and fixed one of them?
So the challenge with that is,
Just curious.
Yeah, we do. We do in situations where where we maybe don't have a funding mechanism in place. The problem is to get to the beam, you've got to take the deck off, right? And then if it's and then you are opening it up, and then you see the beam, and then you can replace it. But the cost of replacing a beam is going to likely, you know, and then what else are you going to find, right? What other deterioration couldn't they visually inspect that you're going to find? So then if that happens, well now, you know, you're never going to do that for less than your local share is on replacing it. So, but if there wasn't a funding mechanism, that's a real avenue. We do that on bridge rehab type projects all the time where there's just no eligible funding to replace it. So we have to get creative and take a deck off, open it up. It's just, you know, it's what kind of can of worms are you going to get into?
I just was curious.
Yep.
Yeah, rehabs are definitely have their place, but like Matt said, with the 80-20 funding split,
Yeah.
you'd be hard pressed to
Sure.
fix that one up for 200 grand.
Yeah.
Years ago,
And then you're
that,
still left with a 75-year-old bridge, right?
years ago, that bridge got widened.
Okay,
I remember that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's why when they widened it, then from a bridge loading now, it's like they didn't support the widened section the way they would
I
now.
worked from the shave when that bridge got widened. Oh, boy, that was, wow. I farmed for 35 years, so it's before that.
Yeah,
yeah,
I farmed on my own for 35 years, I heard you say. And it was before that.
yeah,
yeah,
But I remember them because we had to really drive through there careful.
yeah.
yeah.
With how narrow it was before?
Well,
or-
but, yeah, but then when they worked,
Oh, gotcha, while it was going on, yeah.
I can't remember if they made a road down below or how they did it, but whatever.
And then just to your question too on bridge rehabs, we typically see those when new bridges maybe 40 to 50 years old, where you know you've got some good life. But a 75-year-old bridge, you know, you're pretty much at the end of its life. So
Yeah.
putting money into a rehab is just, you know, you're playing with fire a little bit on that. But it's something to consider for other locations, absolutely. Our experience, I know I'm talking a lot about that, but you can just look at the map here. You know, between the Cheyenne and then obviously, you know, this one on the James. I mean, there's a ton of bridges that we do, that we've done across the state. And you know, there's, you know, working in riverbeds like this, it's unique, right? There's scour, there's potential for slope failures, there's a lot going on. And just, you know, we've done this, we understand what to see, our team understands when you're out there inspecting, you're watching them do the excavations and removals, we know what to look for. We work with IBI all the time, this bridge contractor, so, you know, it's something that our team is ready and able and willing and understands kind of what to look for when we do projects like this.
Yeah, these are just like last 5 years bridges that we've done, Cheyenne and James, so it's very high volume, and I mean, the northern counties are Wold, they'll tend not to, there's a ton of bridges on local tributaries there, too. Alright, I'm gonna get a little bit more into the nuts and bolts of this project specifically, so, we kind of hit on already, the age of the bridge was constructed in 1951, so that puts it at 75 years, this year. So it's, I mean, that's what your typical lifespan, service life of the bridge is 75 years, so. Given that, it's really in pretty good condition overall. Obviously the, big deficiency is the low posting, so, just puts a lot of strain on the system as a whole. You know, you can't, your producers in the area can't utilize the roads, so they use secondary roads that puts more pressure on township roads, other county roads too, that aren't built up and, prepared for, that heavy load traffic, so. Like you mentioned, obviously you did a widening, the guardrail is fairly new out there, it's in good shape, so we added in the plan note to salvage that, Brent and the guys were able to use that somewhere else, or patch in guardrail when it inevitably gets hit. The proposed bridge, what we're looking at, it's pretty much going to be same alignment, same profile. The biggest difference is we're lengthening it, so it's going to be 87 foot, single span bridge. The main reason for that is, as Matt hit on, the new scour requirements. So I guess you can kind of see here, this dash line is the existing, where the abutments and slopes are. So with the borings we did and the slope stability analysis, 3 to 1s are our comfort level, I guess, here. So lengthening those slopes out, that's where you get the longer bridge. So, but that's,
These are they're probably at a 1-to-1, you
Yeah,
know, so it's just such a
almost
vertical.
vertical.
So
Yeah,
that'll
that's
potential for slope failures is pretty common there, so we like to back those off and flatten those out.
And with that, you're necking the river channel down, you're speeding the water up, and that causes swirling. That's where you get a lot of your scours. So just making sure that those slopes are built correctly, the riprap fabric is placed in there will be huge, so that this one doesn't end up on a scoured monitoring list. So the bridge construction itself, it'll be H-pile foundations on the abutments, poured concrete abutments and deck, precast concrete beams, and then even with how new that guardrail was, it didn't meet current standards. The guardrail standards changed every project. It's ridiculous. So you'll put this out and it'll be, they'll come out with new MASH standards. It's crazy. So, but yeah, that is the bridge in a nutshell. The box beams, they're pretty big. They're 3'3" by 3 foot, and that's just the longer span. So we looked at doing a double span, putting a pier in the middle too. We can use smaller beams and just do that cost analysis. But with obviously working in the river, you got to do the copper dam, make a dry working area for the pier in the middle, and then have that obstruction in the middle of the river too. So generally, we like to keep our river channels open if we can, avoid that debris catch and ice jam potential. So first things first, before they do any construction, we're going to shut the road down, set up the detour route. We're using, let's go to 15 and 30, and then coming back around on Wells County 5. It's a nice detour route, most of it's state highway. You're not worrying about using township or county gravel roads where everyone's going to be complaining about dust and from increased traffic and maintenance-wise. So there is the other bridge 2 miles to the west on the township road. I think you're probably going to see a lot of the local traffic that knows their way around, sneaking around to there, so we'll keep an eye on that too and just make sure there's that farmstead there too. So make sure they're not getting, that road's not getting beat up too bad. So once they have that done, they'll remove the existing bridge and then excavate out for where the abutments will be, and then they'll start, first things first, they'll start driving piles. So the abutments are going to be supported on steel 10 by 42 H piles, so the 10 is the depth, how big they are, and then the 42 is 42 pounds per lineal foot of the sheet pile, so, or the H pile, excuse me. There's 1,260 feet, so just under a quarter mile of pile that the bridge will be supported on. We did, Braun Intertech, I guess, is who we partnered with for geotech on this one. They did borings out there. It's really consistent soil. It's all glacial fill. So like once you get down 10 feet, it's down to, they went 118 and then 130 on the other one. It's probably 500 feet down. It's glacial fill. So it's sandy, lean, gravel mixed in. It's really firm. It's good driving. It has a lot of bearing capacity for the sheet pile foundation. So I guess if you guys are curious at all, we don't have to get into it maybe too deep, but there's N values, so it's STP, standard penetration testing that they do. You look for like 40, 50 is like you're not driving piles, and you guys are at 40 here, so it's really good. We're not anticipating, it's not like a Red River lean clay that we're going to not find a bottom to, so hopefully we won't have too many issues there. Once they get the sheet piles driven, they'll pour the abutments, and then they'll place the box beams, so they'll look similar to what's in that bottom left corner there. Like I mentioned, they're pretty big box beams, and then so they'll place those, and then they'll pour the end wall around the beams, and that kind of ties it all together into the abutment. So it's an integral bridge, so everything is working, moving as one. Once they get the beams set, they'll like the few cranes on either side, pick them up off the trucks and place them, and then they'll do their decking, pull them up, place the rebar. They'll all be epoxy coated in the bridge deck, just for corrosion resistance, and then they'll use a big pump truck to get the concrete on the bridge deck and have a mechanical screed here to finish it off. So one of potential issue that comes up on these types of bridges, especially on paved roads, is you have you pour your bridge deck and you do your asphalt coming up to it. The next year there's a huge bump at the end of your bridge, right? You've seen it quite often, and the reason for that is the differential settlement. So your bridge is supported on the H piles, so that's not moving, right? Those are 100 feet into the ground, and then right off your bridge is just embankment, so you have that movement difference there. So combat that, what we try to do is just spread that. You're always gonna have some settlement difference, right? So try to spread that out with a approach slab. So on either side of the bridge will be a 20-foot concrete slab. It's one end is supported on the abutment, so that's like a ledge it sits on, so it won't settle out with the bridge. It'll stay with the bridge, and then the other end will settle some, so it'll just spread that settlement over the whole 20 feet.
So then the bump will be back 20 feet, other than right by the edge of the bridge.
I'm not saying you're not gonna have a bump.
I
know, but
I'm just looking at that.
Yep, it spreads it out, and it'll be way less
You
noticeable.
think this would be better than that, the older style?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a newer style. You think it'd be better?
Yep.
This is
So on
done
the other
all
side-
new construction.
On all paved roads we built, like gravel road, if it settles, you just go add more gravel. It's a lot easier. This, you have to get a patching crew out there to take wedges in, and it's a constant problem. So, this is kind of the standard that we do, on our paved highways. And then with that too, we'll put an under drain system in, so if you get water, infiltrated through here, it can kind of get trapped on the backside of the abutment. So basically, it's just a drain tile system. It's gravel and then a free draining rock around the drain tile, and that shoots it up around the end of the abutment. So any water that does get trapped behind the abutment won't become an issue there.
So on the other side, probably shorter, but those what you do. How thick is the concrete poured on the deck?
8 inches.
8 inches?
Yep, 8 inches.
About between.
Yes, yep. Yeah, this slide probably has, 8 inches.
Well,
Both ways, so
these are your boxes.
There's four runs of box beams, that it sits on. Yeah, and like Matt mentioned, with the load posting on the old bridge, I mean, it's 75 years old too, right? They're not planning for that heavy loads for that entire lifespan too, so they just get fatigued, and that's with the new load posting method, you guys are not unique having this.
So is the life expectancy of what he's doing 75 years also?
Yeah, I mean, you hope to see 100 out of them, but I mean, 75 is what would be considered design life, just with the concrete rebar. That's just what you plan for.
So once the bridge is done and approach slabs are poured, then we're looking off the bridge to finish it up. Just with another point of failure that we see, it won't be with this project, but maybe 40 years down the road. So when you're doing overlays continuously every 20 years on your project, you're milling into the bridge and you're just filling that. You don't want to pour asphalt or place asphalt over your bridge bed. So you're not gaining structural strength there. You're just milling off and putting new asphalt there. So that can become a point of failure down the road. So we look to beef things up a little bit here. We'll take off the existing asphalt and gravel, scarify, recompact the subgrade, make sure that's all firm. If we have to do any subcuts there, if there's bad material, we'll get that out of there. And then we generally started using a higher grade of geogrid, put that down so you have that extra support there. 12 inches of gravel coming up, and then 5 inches of asphalt on top of that. So, and then guardrail will come out on all 4 sides like it is now. You guys had plenty of right away together, so we didn't have any issues there. But basically, we'll just be extending the existing guardrail embankment to fit the new bridge line. And when you're done, this is a bridge we completed as a 92-foot single span, so very similar construction. That'll be kind of what you guys are looking at for finished product. Contractor perspective, IBI was a little bit on this one, 1.3 and some change there. Like Matt mentioned, the local match 20%, around $275,000. So it's a pretty significant investment for the county too. We know that, so we'll look for ways to be as efficient as possible, you know, if there's, ways we can, yep, yep. Yeah, and there was one other bidder, Swinging Construction, they were, quite a bit higher too, they're pretty full up for the year, so, it's kind of a tight schedule too, that's what their main comment was, but, they're looking to get started in early June, so I mean, we're only a few weeks out from construction start date here, and then in September 18th completion date, so hopefully everyone's done planting before we close it, and then hopefully we get it back open before majority of harvest kicks off too. Subcontractors are gonna use 3D Specialties for traffic control, setting up the detour route. Nosted Brothers out of Hatton, North Dakota, they'll be doing the earthwork, riprap, and aggregate base plate placement. We work with them a lot, they partner with IV and Swingman on a lot of they do all the earthwork, channel excavation for bridges, so we got good working relationship with them. Dahlman, Paving Marketing, and Border States of Jamestown will come up and do the asphalt paving, and then Rinker Materials is the precast supplier to the box beams. They're out of the Noken plant by Bismarck. And the beams are cast, ready to go. They're here as we speak. So, yeah, we worked with IBI to get the load rating shop drawings, everything approved, so they were casting a week or two ago now. So that is moving. Pit locations, Nosted Brothers are going to be getting, sound like majority of their riprap and aggregate from, it's like 8 miles north of the project, and then a mile or two east. It's called the Johnson Pit, and then hot mix asphalt will come out of Jamestown and Border States Pit.
Why KLJ? I always like to end on kind of, why pick us? Obviously, there's a lot of firms out there, and, we like to, kind of point at some of the things that we feel like we do really well. Obviously, we're in the region, we're local, and having our coming out of Valley City, so it's close. We provide everything in-house. We don't have any sub-consultants, so there's some consistency there. We have the capacity. It is what we do every day. For me, the big thing is having done the design. IBI is likely going to look at making some minor changes, right? And instead of having to ask the consultant, well, can we do this instead? It might be quicker for us or whatever, and then they have to call the engineer of record at KLJ to say, hey, if they make this modification, is it going to affect anything? You don't have that step, right? Having done the design and doing the construction, if they ask for something, it's just a quick phone call to our team. They're already involved, they already understand. So having that cohesiveness from design into construction is a significant advantage. And I like to say there's not another firm that does the number and volume of county bridges in the state of North Dakota as we do. It's just our bread and butter. It's what we do every day. With that, I guess we'd like to, if you guys have questions for us, we'd certainly be happy to answer.
You just hit on a pretty big advantage with being both the design and the construction engineer. Is there any downside to having the same party do both?
Some might say that, that while and it's more of an ethical thing, is like if, let's say, a mistake was made, right? And are you trying to hide something, or are you because we screwed something up? But, that would be, in my mind, the only thing that someone would say is like if there was an error or omission and you would do it. But ethically, as licensed engineers, that's not, we understand things happen, right? And we are transparent. Brian will communicate with you guys if any issues arise and be transparent through the process.
Yeah, there are some states that don't allow the design engineer to do the construction engineer just for that reason. But like Matt said, it's a professional industry. Where there's something that comes up, it's our
ethical responsibility.
Yeah, it's communication up front. I mean, just get ahead of it, and it's got to be fixed. So come up with the best solution as fast as we can.
I mean, I would say 90% of the bridges that we do construction oversight on, we did the design for. And, you know, the ones that we don't are the ones where there's potentially more challenges, right? Because you don't know the means, the contractor controls the means and methods on how they build it, right? So they're gonna potentially wanna make changes on how they build it. And so, now you just have two different consultants working, and, you know, your construction consultant may say, well, let's just allow them, but they don't understand, if they aren't part of the design, some of the nuances that could go into the design and why it was designed the way it was. So there's just, you know, in my professional opinion, it can create some challenges.
Okay, this doesn't necessarily have to do with the CE portion of it, but you had some new requirements that were placed on you from the design phase.
Yeah, so that comes into the scour analysis, and then the load rating, and then the plant inspection. So now we're required to go to the plant while they're casting the beams, do testing, documentation of them casting the beams before they submit. They're a certified precast supplier plant, right? And the DOT would go out and do the inspection once a year, and now they're requiring it on every project.
So you were on site doing that already?
Yeah, when they did that, we got their, the inspection logs from them and everything, so, yeah.
Yeah, we have a person that is at basically the plant, you know, with just the volume of bridges that we do.
Yeah.
We have someone local that can run over and just be doing their spot checks.
They just come out of those markets. That's the majority of the spring winter will come out of there, so. They're kind of the second time job is hanging out at their precast plant now.
Who would be on site out here most of the time, and, or would that be like daily check-in?
Yeah, we'd have someone out there all the time, and that'd be likely.
Same person or different?
Mark, he's gonna be the same guy. He'll be out here all the time, and then Karen will kind of be the, I guess, point of contact with the contractor, and then I will cohesively bring the whole team together and then with you guys. So you're not talking with three different people on the job. So everything will come through me, and then I'll obviously be up here too, and then you can be checking on. With the bridge pours, or with the bridge construction, you know, it's critical times. When you're driving piles, we have extra staff here. When their forming is done, we'll have extra staff checking. When they're doing deck pours, we'll have extra staff. So it's kind of nice. You can, and with IDI, you know how they work, you know how they operate. We can, we'll have the staff there when it's needed, and then Mark will be there all the time in case something comes up.
Okay, so we know, obviously, the design costs at this juncture. Now we know IBI's cost because they did this on a bid. Talk about the construction engineering components and where we go from here in terms of negotiate that with the state, I assume.
We have. So what we do is we have a schedule from IBI. We know what it's going to take, and we basically set hours. We have our different staff types. We set how many hours we think each task is going to take, and then we bring that to DOT for approval, and we have our audited rates. Basically, they set our rates, what we can charge through the state. They audit us every year, and then it's just a formula, how many hours, what our standard rates are, and then that goes to DOT for approval. That.
We had ongoing conversations for quite a spell out there on the west side of the bridge, the way the river comes around and gets up right against the road.
Yep.
We never did anything, obviously, to work to straighten that channel or any of that type of business. Do you see or foresee any long-term problems there, or is this something that needs to be addressed, you know, as it goes along on the west side of the road there?
Right, obviously here,
Right
where
there.
it comes parallel with the road there.
Because in my lifetime, that didn't look like that.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot in the last 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we were looking at that, and that's kind of why we wrapped the riprap around just to protect that corner at a minimum, so you don't have any potential erosion coming behind your abutment, right? So when we were at Braun out there, that was one of the points of emphasis. We told them to look at that too. From a stability analysis, they didn't see any major concerns there. But yeah, it's definitely something to monitor. And that's, it's something too, like, so your existing embankments here, right, so we're gonna have to dig out, we're gonna be digging into that embankment area. If we see something that we don't like, there's still an opportunity to, and maybe it's adding some sheet pile or something there to add some extra protection. Like we dig down and that slope just starts sloughing away and we're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, the contractor likely will have sheet piling out there for a coffer dam,
Yeah.
because, they have to dig down to get the foundation in, so they'll run a sheet pile around. We do that all the time, whereas where the abutment ends, we'll basically, from the corner of it, you could just run a line of sheet piling back, that basically just protects, the corner of the bridge from that wrapping effect. The one thing I'll say is that, as water comes around the corner, from a scour perspective, typically, you would see a lot of that on the outside, because there's higher velocities as it's trying to turn. So the backside here where you're seeing the riprap, that's where a lot of the stress on the soils is on the backside and around the corner, where the water here is just, it's not trying to go this way until it hits that wall, if that makes sense.
To me, it's concerning that it's parallel with the road there.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And like Matt said, usually it's where you have your bends, right? That's where you see your cut banks, the 20-foot vertical walls and rivers that it just continually sloughs away. And it's good here because it's gradual slope. So if it floods, it just fills in. It's not eating away erosion. Obviously, they had issues with the riprap there in the past that they faced, but and that's the same thing. Why generally you just go 20 feet up and down. So we expanded the riprap there too, just to provide some extra protection there. But yeah, water comes, has to make a 90-degree turn. You have swirling here, and that's usually where you see most of your erosion on the backside.
Let's talk about the guardrail that would be there now.
Yeah.
In the winter, it's a big issue. If we have storms and things like that, that becomes a big collection site for hardened snowbanks and things like that. And if the road department hasn't been out there yet, it becomes problematic. You can get stuck there, you can get something that's really solid.
Right.
How are guardrails designed today as opposed to maybe what's out there tonight to help mitigate that, or?
Yeah, so I guess you have a pretty open rail there too. I don't have a good picture of it.
It still really builds up there.
Right. I mean, you're always going to have some, right? I don't know how you avoid it. The guardrail system we're using is about the most open system you can have. Just with the steel posts, you don't have the concrete thick members there that build up.
Right, so in order for this to be federally eligible, it has to meet MASH requirements. And so, I mean, we look at a lot of the DOT bridges, right? They've got Jersey barrier, which is an absolute nightmare, right? So, I believe this is a Texas railing is where the design comes from. They've done all their MASH compliance and essentially
that MASH is crash testing, right? So
Yeah.
there's different levels of MASH for different speeds, and it's just how reliable, safe it is with the crash testing.
That's what the guardrail out here will look like.
Yeah, yeah.
Finished.
Yeah.
So as far as reducing the amount of snow, from a design of the bridge, there's, not probably a lot you can do, but if you know, a direction, we see, you talk snow fences, right, but like we put, I have some counties that I work with that'll put like a shelter belt or a line of trees that basically will, try to limit some of that blowing snow that's getting caught in those. As far as what the highway will allow, this is pretty much the most open style. So there are other ways that you could look at it that maybe aren't the design of the railing, but maybe other ways to help get the snow not on the bridge.
That's a state, northern country wide problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a low spot, because you're going through the river
There's
valley,
dumps in there.
and it just collects there, yeah.
It all depends on the winter and how long it's gonna take before it ever, if you get sunshine, you're gonna get a little melt, you think it's cold.
Yeah.
But if it just keeps hammering, some years it does.
And how much wind you get, right? Wind's the killer.
Every day.
Every day, I know.
It's been a crazy spring so far.
You guys have other questions? Pretty much covered everything I got.
What was your first name?
Matt.
If you guys were building water bridges, you got anything for dust bridges?
For dust bridges?
Yeah.
That's a new market probably we should tap into.
I could use one the other day.
It was, like you said, it was nice to get a little shot of rain, calming things down a bit.
All right, give us the 10-cent version of why we should hire KLJ for our CV.
Yeah, I think it's just the familiarity with the project as a whole, the design, and then just our experience overall. I mean, just looking at the map, this is last 5 years of bridges that we've done that are similar in scope. IBI and Swing and Schroeder, those are the three contractors. So a third of those bridges are that we've done with IBI. We work with them. Aaron Anderson, he's a PM, he's already called and asked some questions about the project. And that's who we're working with for shop drawing. So there's just that, we have that continuity with them. I think we have everything it takes to give you guys a great project and help them run smoothly.
Our team is working with them right now, and if this project was awarded to us, they'll just flip over and follow them, right here. So it's the same crew, same staff. We understand what they're doing, and we're just kind of follow them here.
You guys have, without question, you have the capacity to take this on with the other jobs that you have.
Yep, we got survey staff in Valley, testing in Summer Valley, and, inspection. I mean, their schedule is pretty well set, and they gotta get going on it soon.
Because, Aaron Anderson wants me to call him 5 minutes after this meeting's over today. So it's like, we're
Yeah,
gonna go.
they're looking to keep going, so.
Yeah, and I mean, if they want to do a pre-con, we can work with you guys too on that, because I mean, obviously the contracting process, it's got to go to the DOT, and then it's got to come back, and then it's got to go around through DocuSign, so we understand some of that too.
That's gonna take a month, and there's no way contracts will be in place before they won't get going. So
Right, yeah.
We run into it.
We deal with it all the time, we put on helping with some of that stuff.
Are you comfortable with the completion date?
Yeah, I think just talking with IBI, I mean, it's gonna be tight, right? They're gonna be up against it, but they're professionals. This is their bread and butter. It's a pretty straightforward bridge. We don't have any piers or abutments in the river, so there shouldn't be that many unforeseen potential. So I think they'll get in and get her done and get it out.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys. Any big things happening over Memorial Day and County up here? Any big celebrations or anything?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, graduation time when you get to all
Yeah.
you don't.
Looks like some nice warm weathers.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You know, Sunday, Monday look like it's gonna be hot.
Yeah. A little too warm for it.
I know.
What to do.
They're used to that.
Yeah.
Well, it's either gotta be, raining and blowing, or we can't have 3 weeks of 65 degrees, so I would be asking too much.
If I get some free time for the kids, I like to golf, so normally when I check the weather, I just look for the wind speed, and it's been, they couldn't have asked for a worse spring to get out and
Every doggone day.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you guys have any other questions that come up, always feel free to give me a call, whatever, and
Thanks, Brad.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate the time, guys. Yeah.
have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Got a lot of quarters there.
Yeah. Go a long way with this one.
Well, 2 horses in the race, which
They're both definitely qualified.
They're both different colors.
pretty much,
The thing I like about KLJ is, they did all the other work already, and yes, I know it quite well. Yeah.
And they showed us basically better how it was gonna be built, I thought, didn't you?
Yeah, the whole design of it and.
Contractors got all that stuff, basically.
Right.
but what you're saying is, they did the construction engineering, right?
Yeah, design.
They did design.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, they did design, it, so this would just be adding on to their picture that's already there.
You have the design engineering and
Yeah,
construction.
right.
That's what we did.
Right, but I mean, they did the design.
Right.
Yeah. So they have that advantage, that they know it that well.
We're drilling test holes and stuff. I don't know, the dirt and stuff,
Well-
they gotta dig out and redo.
Now, they